All right, welcome to Talking Investing. We should be live.
Tom. You don't usually start by saying, I'm Tom, I'm George.
I'm Tom. That's George. I know what he wants to say.
Yeah, I do. I'm just not in a good mood, guys.
George is not happy. Eric, hello. He's telling me to stop smiling. You didn't know I was smiling. I'm not a bear.
You're smiling? Why are you smiling?
That's my default. I try to spread joy in this world.
Yeah, you're crazy. Where is trying to find the chat? I'm not at home. I'm in an undisclosed location.
Yes, George is mobile.
This is where is it? Why is it? I lost the chat.
Hey Samuel. Reese says, "Hey Tom, I have a question for you." Hey Martin.
He has a question for you.
Miguel says we need alcohol.
Yeah, I don't drink. That's the problem.
You don't need it. Stop the market for the next 6 months. I wish we could have stopped the market for the last 6 months.
Yeah, we'd be a lot better off.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like working, Tom.
No, well, that's why they call it work.
They really do. So
today,
what's the theory on the street? Why is Bitcoin plummeting? I mean, I guess it's not really plummeting. It's only down 3%. Why does it feel like it's plummeting?
Well, the market got destroyed today, number one. So
why do you think the market got destroyed today, Tom? Let's talk about that.
I mean, the obvious reason is the CPI data came out this morning and it was worse than expected. And it was
what?
It was a yeah, go figure. 8.6, I think they were looking for 8.3, and they're usually within 0.1 on their estimate, if you will. I mean, I'm not sure how much stock I put in that number. I think we all know just from being out in the world, there's inflation. Whether it's 8.3 or 8.6, I'm not sure why that makes such a massive difference. But the market tanked on that most predictably. And I'll tell you, for most of the day, I mean, Bitcoin took, you got, if my screen is showing, there's one red candle, and that is right when they announced CPI. But it just went down to 29,500, so that was not bad. We ended up testing, once again, for the millionth time, we have a red line at 28,800, which was the low from July of 2021. And if I zoom out, you'll see we've retested that. We've been retesting this line here for, this goes back to May. We flash crashed May 12th. Right? If I bring this up, one 4-hour candle, we flash crashed down to 25,000-ish. And then we basically came right up. If I go to the daily candles, we finished above this line of support. And it's held ever since. And, you know, for the last 2 weeks, we haven't even been anywhere near it. But now with today's CPI number, we got whacked. Martin bought some Riot. Reese left a comment on my hut video. I'll see if I can find that. Gregor says, nice haircut, George.
Thanks. So obviously we're going to be sitting at this level for a little while, don't you think? Or no? I think tomorrow it's going to change.
No, I think that we are bouncing off the bottom. That has been my consistent feeling. And Samuel says, honestly, Bitcoin's reactions today to today's news isn't bad. Is that an indicator of a bottom? And I do think that we are bouncing along a bottom. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I mean, this line at 28.8 is like rock solid. And the one time we flash crashed down to 25, we have not, it's been a month, and we haven't been anywhere near that since. And we've had, you know, this is one of the big events that tanks the market, the CPI. Like, I mean, this is clockwork. So if we were going to flash crash or do any of those things, today would have been the perfect setup to do that. But Bitcoin held very strong over the last few rough days. I mean, it's still sadly sideways. I mean, you can see all this time is just totally sideways, but it does seem like we're bouncing off the bottom, in my opinion. So I'm sticking to that.
So here's my question, and a couple people have already asked. And RT, I'll answer your question since you're new to the channel. Nice to meet you. RT bought Marathon at $69. What does he do?
I mean, RT has to answer a question that everybody has to answer for themselves, which is the first thing RT should do is watch my video that I posted today, which was on Marathon. So, here's the thing. It's all about, and right now people are just viciously down on Marathon. And I will tell you, I was not so nice in the video myself because, you know, they have not done the greatest job of managing things over there. However, with all the things that they've done wrong, and there is a long list, they're still sitting in a position where if they do what they said they're going to do in the update they just put out yesterday, if they do that, which is basically plug in and get up and running another 67,000 machines in the next 90 days, as badly as they've behaved over the last 6 or 7 months, their stock's going to go up. I mean, it's going to double, triple, quadruple.
So let's stop for a second. How many machines, Tom?
67,000.
Okay. How many machines did they install last month? No, I'm serious.
None.
I'm sick and tired of
None.
Yeah,
no,
no.
this is their. Oh, but they
divide 90 by 67,000, and that's how unrealistic that is.
I don't believe they're going to do that. I won't say I don't believe. I'm extremely skeptical that they can get that done. And I did go through and show, like, they've made these promises over and over and over.
That's basically 750 a day.
It's
impossible.
It's so far outpaces what it outpaces anything anybody's ever done. And
right.
And on top of that,
if I could do it, let's see, 20 people. And I just don't know how big of a facility, how many facilities they're talking. You know what I mean? If they got 100 facilities, then it starts to.
They have 19,000 set up, but they don't have any power to them. So there's a tax issue that they have to get through in order to turn the power on. So the first 19,000 they claim are already set. They have, I mean, it's basically litigation, if you will. They got to settle it.
Tell him to call me up. I will get him running tomorrow. Dude,
if he saw my video, I don't think he's going to talk to me. So
you don't think he's going to talk to you?
not after the last few Marathon videos. Listen, I tried to be fair, and I started the thing by saying I'm just going to try and objectively look. But here's the thing. In December, which was just 6 months ago, they said they were going to be at 10 exahash in March. Well, it's June right now. They're at 3.9 exahash, and they spend 2 paragraphs in their monthly update explaining why the 3.9 exahash didn't get them any Bitcoin, and they were 47% inefficient due to particulates and various other things. I mean, in your line of work, George, you know that's a ridiculous statement to say they had to shut their facilities down for the month, essentially because the particulates were clogging up the works.
And you know what? It's funny because I think this is why I was really drawn to Bitcoin, is because I'm really big on air management. mold, any toxins in the air, and then dehumidification. And then, by the way, I've been building for, I don't know, 30 years now. I'm going to tell you something. They have an idiot at the helm. And I'm sorry, this guy, there's people that can power through things and get it done. If money's not an issue, which it shouldn't be, then there's people that know how to power through stuff and get it done. And this is what I love about construction, is that there's just some people, and I hate to say this, they just cannot figure out how to execute. And I have a feeling that this is marathon. And I wish that wasn't the case. But execution is, listen, you take and you hit your head against the wall 9 times, but the 10th time you get it through. And most people get really, they don't do it. They do it 4 times, 5 times. They're like, I'm done. But you just got to keep hitting your head against that wall until you get it done. And that's almost like investing right now, by the way.
It's true. There doesn't seem to be any sense of urgency, and that a person either has that or they don't. And that's what seems to be missing. And they keep talking about how they're on schedule. That's the most frustrating thing to me of all. If they would have just said, "Man, we are way off schedule, and here's what we're gonna do about it: A, B, C, D, E, F, G."
They're not even recognizing the problem, Tom. If you're telling me they're saying that they're on schedule, don't you have one of those 10Ks?
They're saying that all their machines will be plugged in by early 2023, and they'll be at 23.3 exahash. So in the big picture, they're still on schedule.
Wait a second. Did you ask them if they meant running?
That's true, right?
I'm serious. I mean, I know it's a little tiny word in the phrase, but they might be plugged in. But did you say running?
Yeah. Well, they claim they got 19,000 right now that are set up, but they got no energy for them.
Telling you right now, I understand. I mean, I'm dealing with the city of Atlanta right now on something, actually the Fulton County, and it's not fun dealing with it, but you always figure out a solution. And you know what? There's traditional ways to figure out solutions, and then there's ways to figure out solutions. I think, if anything, you can never put, a square peg in a round hole. And that's what I think they keep on trying to do.
I can't write them off, though. Well,
I'm going, Reese. I'm giving it to you any second.
I agree with everything you just said, but I can't write them off based on the fact that, I mean, they have the machines. If somebody could come in, hire somebody, bring somebody in that knows how to bring it to the finish line.
And that's really what it is the execution. And you know what is sad? And I'm sorry, I have dealt with people like this before. They don't think they have a problem. Well, it's just not going to be up today. We should have it up next month. And that is a problem. What did Reese say? Reese said something. He said, can I answer his question? Hang on, Reese.
I'm trying to find Reese's comment right now.
Reese. I left a comment on your most recent hut video. I'm a bull, but can you take a look just quick? What was the thing? What was the question?
I'm reading it, and she said, my only issue is with 84% of their mining, so which is basically that's their Bitcoin mining. They get everything in Bitcoin, but Hut 8 does use some GPUs, mines Ethereum, and gets paid in Bitcoin. But with the rest of the 84%, they use ASIC miners, and she's saying that their cost is $18,000 per Bitcoin with the rest of their fleet. So let's take a look. They do have, a lot of these guys have, I don't understand, because they specifically say their cost per Bitcoin is $8,700. But yet, if you look at their financial statements, but I just want to make sure we're not counting depreciation in that, and I can't remember off the top of my head, so.
And remember, they're more efficient mining with Ethereum than they are with a Bitcoin miner, which I found interesting.
Yeah, that's brought down their cost big time, but that gravy train we think is going to end at some point by the end of the year. I just go straight to their thing.
Yeah, I bet you that has to include depreciation, Tom.
Well, you'd be surprised at what the cost of some of these things are. Their gross profits, a lot of these guys are not operating at peak efficiency at this time. Let's just say that. I think that their costs are going to come down over time, but they're surprisingly high right now. I don't know what my machine is doing, but I will get there, Reese. I'm not
If I was a betting man, I bet you that includes depreciation, because usually they're less than 10,000. And by the way, just so you guys all know, I still think you should sell your Bitcoin every month to pay for your expenses. Just so you guys all know, I say that every single stream.
A lot of people are coming around to that, and some people are doing a lot more than that. Core Scientific sold like 2,600 Bitcoin in May. So they're already there. That was a massive, massive sell-off of Bitcoin. Right? Riot sold 250, and to me that made sense. That just about pays for their operations on a monthly basis. And it probably even had enough to kick in some for their...
Oh, and somebody asked, I think it was Greg asked, what do you think's the best thing to do with money at the moment? I know what my answer is.
What do you think? Under the pillow?
Yeah, I don't, dude, even putting it under the pillow hurts. You know that? I don't think we've tapped out on oil yet. But at the moment, I think you still gotta, I'm still, 80% out. So it's, put it this way, having the 20% in hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but that 20, it's awful. I don't know why he keeps calling. They told him.
People.
I think I would buy Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum, even though I'm not a big believer in Ethereum long term. Because they're just too damn expensive to use that coin. It's just so much money.
And that's taking a bigger beating than Bitcoin is. It does look like it on there. So there's 36 million in cost of revenue. About half of that, it was about 18 and 18 in direct actual cash costs and depreciation. So that's about a 67% gross profit margin, which is lower than it should be. I agree. So I will say this, they're bringing their new facility online, and of the 3 places, that is going to be their cheapest energy cost. So I think that will help. But, all these guys, the reason they're going to survive a winter, even if that happens, even if they lose money per Bitcoin, they have such a strong balance sheet that they could survive. In my opinion, they could survive, in my humble opinion, they could survive years of a crypto winter. Now, nobody wants that. Even if they were losing $5,000 a coin, they could still keep mining them, holding them, and they got enough money and access to money to keep going and going and going. But I definitely agree that I would like to see that cost come down. I mean, these guys, everybody... It looks to me like somewhere 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. That's what it should be in actual energy costs. So I'm not sure what all the rest of these costs are. And one of my frustrations with all the Bitcoin miners, first of all of these Bitcoin miners' income statements, all other financial statements, in my opinion, are awful. And I don't mean their performance is awful. I mean their presentation is awful. It's, in my opinion, they're all inconsistent. I don't necessarily even believe these guys are following GAAP, so I'm not making any direct accusations at anybody, but there's a lot of stuff that I would have disclosed in these statements that I just don't see in there, and it really surprises me. And one of them would be, they've got cost of revenue, and some of these companies do it, but a lot of them don't. They should have in the footnotes, or at least in management's discussion, a breakdown of exactly what's in cost of revenue. Here's the energy cost. Here's our payroll. Here's our non-cash compensation. Here's utility. You can't just say $36 million. So they do break it down and say, well, there's, if you go to the statement of cash flows, you can always find out here, depreciation and amortization. So you go to statement of cash flows and you see that was $18.5 million. So now I know, basically half of this is depreciation and half of this is real cost. But they got to do a lot better than that. We need to know. I would have a lot more confidence as an investor if I knew a little bit more disclosures. And I'll tell you, with Marathon, I really struggled. I looked for hours today. There's 3 or 4 places they typically should be disclosing the remaining amount of money that they owe on their machines that they've bought. And I think what they're doing is using a loophole because they can just walk away from that. In other words, they've put about $300 or $400 million of deposits down. So if they were to walk away and just walk away from those deposits, then technically they don't owe any more money on the rest of those machines. But then they don't get the rest of those machines. Pretty much all the other Bitcoin miners have, and they disclose consistently, here's the amount remaining on the purchase orders that we have. Yes, they're cancelable. So it's not an actual technical commitment that has to be disclosed. However, everybody else discloses it, and it's critical information. And as far as I could, putting the pieces of the puzzle together, so again, this is a bit of a guess, it looks like they owe about $300 million still, just to get the rest of their machines.
Did you say $300 million?
$300 million. So, but you won't find that in their financial statements.
Wow.
Look, please, somebody let me know if I'm wrong and you find it. I looked at all the normal places. I read all the footnotes. I read management's discussion. If it's in there, I missed it. And it shouldn't be something you can miss. It should be a big giant chart that's obvious. Here's how many machines we ordered. Here's the deposits we've made on them. Here's how much remains to be paid. This is when we're going to pay it, so that you understand their cash flow. Otherwise, how do you put a cash flow picture together for this company?
So I have a question for you. Are you ready?
Ready.
Do you think we're in a crypto winter already?
I think the altcoins are in a crypto winter.
You don't think Bitcoin is?
I don't know that there's an actual official technical definition, but down 85% is been the historical crypto winter. So the altcoins are there, and I don't think I realistically do not believe there's any chance that that's going to happen to Bitcoin. That would be Bitcoin like 8,000 or 9,000.
Really? You really don't think?
We're holding so strong at 28.8. So to me, until we break through, there's 2 giant things that would have to happen first. The line at 28,800 has been just about one of the strongest lines of support I've ever seen. We flash crashed in one 4-hour candle down to 25,000. So we would have to close a daily candle below 25,000, in my opinion, to even start talking about getting to 20,000, where there's a rock solid line of support that I just cannot imagine we're going through. Obviously, all things are possible, right? The Bitcoin could go to 0 for all we know. But if I'm looking at it historically and the price action since the beginning of the existence of the thing, to me, 20,000 is like, that's my super worst case scenario. Obviously, my ultimate worst case scenario is always 0. That's just, that's just reality.
Wow. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Tom. I'm thinking we got a lot more downside than we do upside right now. For the next till the halving, till the halving, which I thought was only a year and a half away. It's over 2 years away, by the way, the halving.
No, it's April of 24. So it's under 2 years. It's close to 2 years, but it's under 2 years. So, yeah, obviously that once the halving happens, that changes all the math. And I'm not saying there's not more pain ahead. I don't know how long we're going to bounce along this bottom. And I don't know that the Bitcoin miners have bottomed out, because they are not following along with Bitcoin. They are doing much, much worse. Today was a perfect example. I mean, here's the board. For whatever reason, DigiHost was up, but, you know, they've been beaten down 90%. And the rest of the board is pretty viciously red today. So,
see this, I have a countdown thing up, and you're right. It says 692 days. They're freaking having, it's wrong.
well, 692 days is less than 2 years.
I thought it was 365 days a year.
Yes.
3 and 3. Oh, yeah.
That's all right.
I do drugs.
Hive #1 miner, says Rick Ross. I think Hive is, I know people are down on Hive, and I did a Hive video. I think that they're going to weather the storm on this reverse stock split. Their balance sheet is super strong. Eric saying the Cleanspark's market cap is $200 million, which is, I know, it's ridiculous. If you look at these market caps, they are absurd. If you look at market caps versus balance sheets, but this is happening all throughout the small cap high growth world in the stock market. You are getting stocks that are at values that, and that's why I'm still a buyer. I know a lot of people think I'm just a, you know, I'm just a forever bull.
Boomer.
I'm not a boomer, and I'm not, and it's not. I'm dollar cost averaging, because when I look at a company like Hut, you know, where they have a balance sheet that far outweighs their market cap, and they have a business model that is sustainable, then I don't care how low if they keep going lower, I'll just keep buying more. And there's 4 or 5 of these that I feel that way about. Now, there's 4 or 5 that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And then there's a bunch that are in the middle that are just big risk-reward equations. Marathon is a gigantic risk-reward equation. What's your risk tolerance? Because Marathon, if they do what they say they're going to do, and again, we don't necessarily have any reason to believe that they're going to do that, but if they do, you know, they could be at a point where they're mining 2,000 Bitcoin a month 7 months from now. So everybody's going to have a lot different opinion on Marathon if they go from 200 Bitcoin to 2,000 Bitcoin. Right? They did 268 Bitcoin this month, which was an embarrassment.
So what about, rank? Well, we got some questions. I don't know if you want to answer some of those. But as you're doing it, people, rank your top 3 Bitcoin companies that are going to stay in business if we go into a crypto winter. So it stays at 15,000. Whoop, whoop.
Crypto, you want to know what people think in a crypto winter?
Top 3 miners.
Are there any examples of miners you wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole? Any with a $sign? Yes.
Any. Where's any right now?
They're sent a search party out for the new miner world headquarters.
Their ESG's got to be through the roof too, though.
No, listen, they mine. I think their carbon footprint 0.
They're at 90, huh? They're still too high.
They're another one where, I mean, yeah, that's Martin saying DCA miner stocks and hold. Right. I think, you know, if you got to pick stocks that you feel comfortable with, I mean, you guys know I do very deep dives, and, you know, not everybody has to do as deep a dive as I do, but you should know your company. You know, you should know what the balance sheet looks like. You should know what their business formula is, what their management philosophy is in general. And if you feel good about all those things, then, that's like Hut is $1.88. Bitfarms is $1.59. Its market cap's $300 million, right? If and when Bitcoin recovers. Now, here's the thing, and I always say this in my videos. If you are forever bearish on Bitcoin, then any one of these business models is going to break down, right? If there's a 10-year crypto winter, nobody's going to survive that. So, if that's your philosophy on Bitcoin, then you just don't belong in this space at all. So, which is fine. You're welcome to have that opinion.
Guys. I'm out.
George, you got a 10-year negative Bitcoin philosophy?
No, I got a 2-year I remember we talked about this, and I said 2 years.
Even 2
years. That was what, a month ago? Beginning of May?
Yes.
You said, how long can they bring the pain?
2 years. So to me, the halving is a line in the sand. Because the math's going to change at that point. Either half of these companies are going to quit because if the difficulty level remains where it is and there's a halving and Bitcoin's at $15,000, these guys aren't going to go out of business. They're just going to quit because there's no sense to that. So by the time the halving happens, either Bitcoin goes way up or all these companies close their doors.
Well, I think I just feel Bitcoin going to, I hate to say this, but I think it's going to break 20. Really do.
Gregor's asking if you're okay. You look upset.
Who, me?
Yes.
I'm effing miserable.
You're letting it get to you. George is usually the most positive person I know. And I will tell you, the last weeks, I feel that things are... I don't know if it's the market or the world, but it's definitely... You're not your normal...
Well, guy, okay, just so you guys know, I bought a golf course that I just recently sold. And I have to go and argue taxes back in 2021. They just said 2020, we're just going to give you the same taxes as 2019. They're trying to say that my taxes went up to like this ungodly amount of money. And it's just frustrating to know it's not really a golf course because there's no clubhouse and it's just green grass where you can play golf. But I never opened it as a golf course. And it's really frustrating that the city or the county doesn't appreciate the hard work that you put into a community and that every single home around it, which is almost 1,000 homes, have a higher value and a higher appraisal value, and they're making money off of me, and I hate that. It's almost the same thing with, hedge funds. I feel the exact same thing with the market right now. I feel that these people are just taking advantage of us hard, and it feels it.
Well, they are. I mean, there's no doubt somebody's making money on the other side of everybody else losing money, and the retail investors usually take the brunt of the pain. There's no doubt. But, I mean, I also did another video the other day this called something to the effect of this is not my normal daily update. And basically, I just talked about zooming out and looking a little more long term. If you run the math on this, again, if you think Bitcoin's going down forever, then the math doesn't work. But if you're in the majority and you think that Bitcoin, I mean, really, the majority of even crypto critics think that Bitcoin is here to stay, and most of those people believe that by the halving, it's going to be at $100,000.
So my whole thing is, when does it separate from this god-awful market? Because the market's just going to keep going down and down and down. And I know you keep saying it's down 90% and everything's looking great. And I think, don't worry, I think there's going to be a bounce for the election. But I don't think it's going to be a long-term bounce. Because I just listened to somebody talk about engine oil for diesel trucks will be out in 3 months. We'll be out of it. And it will take a year to replenish it.
I think that
that just blew my mind.
Right now, Bitcoin continues to trade along with the market. I don't know what day that stops, but that is going to change because there is no line of reasoning for that to be the case. It's being treated like it's a tech company, and the more time that goes by, the more adoption overall, the more this is going to be treated like the commodity that even Gensler said he believes that it is. So
Really?
like there's no critics left. So ultimately this is going to behave more like a commodity, more like gold, and it will separate itself from the market. I don't know when that is. It shouldn't even, the current correlation is happening. I don't know that it could be a coincidence as far as I'm concerned, because there's no actual argument you can make that I know of why they would be correlated.
To me, they should be exactly inverse.
Rick says you're capitulating.
I always try to.
That's a good sign. That's where we need to. And I've been kind of waiting for the market to. And I thought maybe Bitcoin with the CPI today. I thought maybe this would be the day we flash crash back down to 25 and get some heavy volume. But Bitcoin held very strong today.
I said we're down to 1.2 trillion in market cap, so we still have 200 trillion to go. After we lose that, 200 billion. Once we lose that 200 billion, I will change my mind on crypto. By the way.
Once we get under your $1 trillion.
Yeah. Remember, I called that at like 3.1, everybody. 3.1 or 3.2 trillion. I said, guys, it's going to. I just didn't believe my own advice. Trust me.
Yeah, you should have taken your own advice. Well, we're almost there. We keep dipping very close to that.
That's the bottom. Someplace right around there is the bottom. But the problem is we got to flush out some more junk. And that's going to be why I think Bitcoin's going to go down, by the way. Because it has really nothing to do with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. It has to do with the fundamentals of crypto, the crypto infrastructure that's currently out there.
Well, that's a counter argument I would make to you. We just had the biggest collapse in the history of cryptocurrency in the Luna situation.
Right.
And this line at 28,800 held no problem.
Right.
Just like it was like a non-event.
So what you're telling me is the crash is going to have to be bigger than the Luna? And yes, I believe it will be. Just so you know.
I don't know. Obviously, I can't say with certainty that we're not going into a crypto winter, but everything that I look at tells me that we're not.
I can say with certainty that if we have regulations in the United States with stable coins, based on what those regulations are, we will have a fallout.
Well, here's the good news for you, and this actually I did not talk about in my video. In the regulations that were just proposed, it's going to be a requirement that stablecoins are backed by a fiat of their choosing. It doesn't. They didn't say it has to be the U.S. dollar, but it has to be backed by a fiat, and it has to be guaranteed.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, rubles.
Rubles?
I don't think that's actually a recognized fiat for most of the world. But it'll be the U.S. dollar, and essentially that's what's going to happen. These are going to have to be, and that makes sense.
You want to know what I was looking at yesterday, and it blows my mind. I cannot get over how strong the dollar is to other currencies right now, and I can't believe it's not higher on the British pound.
Yeah, well,
but think about it. It's almost as high as it's been in the last 20 years.
It did peak just a week or two ago. It
did it?
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Unfortunately it means that, we all know it's rough here in the United States, and a lot of people on our stream and a lot of our subscribers are in all different parts of the world, and I think everybody's kind of feeling the same crunch right now. It's rough all over right now. There's no getting around it. It's rough all over in reality. It's rough in the stock market. I mean, there's no place to hide. Well, I won't say that. You could buy oil stocks. and Big Pharma's done okay. But other than that, there's no place to hide. If you look at the heat index, the board has just been red all year. There's everything's getting taken out. And to some of these, you know, when you're down, Marathon's down 91% from their high from 7 months ago. 91%, which is why, as much as I don't like what they're doing, and I haven't bought it, but I think about it because you got to do, you know, you got to do the math. You're getting at 91%, the odds you're getting, you could pull a triple, quadruple, quintuple very easily, and it still won't be anywhere near where it was trading at 7 months ago. So if they go from minting 268 Bitcoin to 2,000 Bitcoin, I think you can feel pretty safe that they're going to get back to where, you know, where they were trading 2-3 months ago anyway. So
Right.
that's the risk reward. Now, I have chosen not to buy that because I'm much more confident in, you know, my three I have the highest confidence in right now. And there's others that I feel very good about. But I will tell you that RIOT, Riot, and Bitfarms, to me, just they're situated to survive in a bad situation. So that's a very conservative approach to take. But those three to me have the least downside. They're not the three that have the most upside, in my opinion, but with more upside comes more risk. And there's so much upside in those three with less risk, in my opinion, that, you know, why bother messing around? I do own some smaller portions. I own smaller positions in some of the other miners, but those are my big positions. And CleanSpark, I have a high level of confidence in, but their balance sheet is nothing like Bitfarms, HUD 8s, and Riots. So I like what CleanSpark does. It is one of my larger positions, but they don't have they don't have the balance sheet strength. Somebody's asking about, can you please explain the ATM of Bitfarms? So many people are very negative about it. So
Me, I was too, by the way.
I'll tell you, it's ironic because all the people that have been negative about these shelf offerings, think about it. What would you rather have? Would you rather have had them go out and borrow money? So now as we move into a bear market and cash is scarce, now you've got a company with huge debt. They gotta cover the interest on the debt. They got to cover the current principal on the debt. They got to cover their overhead, plus which they've already leveraged themselves, so they can't borrow any more money. So now they're going to have to go out and do an offering when their stock is at an all-time low. So would you rather that, or would you rather have it like Riot? Riot's trading at $5.17. They just raised $100 million at an average stock price of $24 a share. So I would much rather have my companies do that. You can't have everything, right? Everybody wants everybody to hold all the Bitcoin and don't dilute any of the stock. And that means your last option is to leverage yourself. And the companies that are leveraged right now are the ones by far the most likely to go out of business. Right? I like Core Scientific, but they borrowed $1 billion. Like, that's not going to hold up for 2 years. So, in my opinion, people overreact drastically to these shelf offerings. They are a lifeline when companies need one. And if you're bullish on Bitcoin in the long term, then you're not going to mind whatever percent, dilution your stock is getting. You have to accept that a small cap, ultra high growth company. Remember, these are ultra high growth companies. These companies' revenues some of these companies have already 100x'd their revenue already. So, and we're just getting going here. So, it has to come from somewhere. So, yeah, I want them to be responsible.
I have no idea.
Well, you also want them to be responsible, and so that's a part of trusting management. You don't now Bitfarms at $1.59. No, I don't want them to go out and get money. But if they got a bunch of money at $4, I feel good about that because now they're at $1.59. So, they did the right thing. Most of these companies have put their shelf offerings on hold to whatever extent they're able to. They're only using them if they absolutely need them, because almost every single one of these companies is at a 52-week low, near their 52-week low, or at an all-time low right now. This whole segment is down over 85% as a group from its highs in November 7 months ago. So this sector has been taken out. And yeah, it could get worse. It probably will. In the Bitcoin miners, I think Bitcoin bounces along the bottom. The Bitcoin miners have been behaving badly, and we don't know when that ends. So, I'd love to say, yep, we're done. Today was the bottom, but that's not likely. But I will keep buying. And for those of you that have run out of powder and you have no more money to buy, I know that's very frustrating. But the last thing I would do right now is sell. Right? I think if we look at the history of Bitfarms from 2021 forward, we're going to end up looking back looking at when it was trading at $1.59 in disbelief. So
I agree with you and I disagree with you.
Go.
I think that I know you're trying to catch a falling knife, but I'm just nervous that I just don't see if Bitcoin is following the NASDAQ, which we're both going to agree that it's happening, correct?
It's happening. That's what's
right,
happening.
It's happening. I just don't see anything that's going to change the NASDAQ anytime soon.
Well, you think we're in a recession, which is highly likely, and you think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't argue with any of that. For me, the Bitcoin...
I'm taking the loss. Just so you guys know, I'm getting out for 30 days because I want to take that loss. So whatever it goes up, ain't matter because I'm going to take a humongous loss, and that's going to help me overall. So that's just, everybody's situation is different. And to me, it's just the best thing to be able to do right now.
If you have to offset gains with losses, then that's a tax strategy. But
right.
From an investment strategy, I don't see, and I won't see any, because there are several of these companies that I am worried about. So I have done, everybody's been getting on me to, analyze all these from a crypto winner. And I don't think you guys realize I am, in my videos that I'm doing, I'm running through a crypto winner scenario now every time. So the company that has the biggest risk that I've gone through so far is Core Scientific. Now, I haven't been through all of them, right? There's 20 publicly traded companies, so it's going to take me a while. And I don't want to do just one video that says, I like these and I hate those, because there's no depth to that. And then it just becomes my opinion supported by nothing. So I'd rather take a look and do a deep dive and look at balance sheet, cash flow projections, and see which companies are best suited to withstand this. I do know there's some companies that are in very bad shape, so I haven't gotten to them yet. There's a few that I want to do a video on, but I know absolutely nobody is going to watch. So sometimes I don't do videos just literally because from experience I know that if I do that video, nobody cares and no one's going to watch.
I have a question. Are we 30 days away, 90 days away, or 6 months away from the first one hitting the floor that's going out of business?
Yeah, we're not 30 days. Well, I think we're 6 months away before any of these fold up shop. Now, in the middle, the one thing that could happen is some mergers and acquisitions. So let's say, for instance, and I'm just using this as a for instance, let's say that Riot bought DMG. So that could happen over the next 6 months. Some mergers, acquisitions, but I don't see anybody going out of business that fast. I think it's going to take at least 6 months, even the companies that are in trouble, before their resources run out. And I'll tell you, so I'll give you a freebie without my deep dive, and I will do a video on this. I'm deeply concerned about Bit Digital, stock ticker BTBT. So you guys can let me know what your thoughts are on BTBT. Is anybody trading that? Because they have some serious fundamental problems. And to me,
that's probably why they weren't worried about the lawsuit.
Yeah. I would probably rank them, BTBT and any are the two that I think are probably in the most imminent danger. But there are several past that are a risk in a bear market. BTBT keeps finding a way. Their hash rate goes down every month.
Oh, did it go down again?
It went down drastically again. I can't even understand. They're at like 0.3 exahash. And they give no explanation. It's not good.
No, it's not good. I can't believe it. I ran so far away.
Matthew is saying CleanSpark's expenses aren't as high either. Low current liabilities, so cash strength isn't great, but management is selling coins as needed. Well, I mean, I agree with that. That's why I hold a position in them. Their balance sheet is not as strong as the other ones that I talked about, but they did not take on debt. They've been using their Bitcoin to fund operations. And, everybody, that was controversial. But in hindsight now, they sold all their Bitcoin for a lot more than it's worth right now. So, that may end up paying off for them. And companies like Core Scientific, who hodled every single Bitcoin for a year and now just had to dump them all at 30,000, like, I'm sure, I can promise you that was not the plan on the drawing board. They're doing what they have to do, but that was not the plan.
I'm telling you, it sucks, but you got to do it this way. You got to sell your Bitcoin and pay your expenses every month. I mean, basically, that's what they just did. They just did it over a period of 1 month instead of like a year. You know what I mean?
That's right. But that's, they might look back and think this is, somebody's saying Romeo had news after hours. Romeo, bad news after hours. So I'm just looking. I am doing a Romeo video this weekend. So that everybody knows, I still hold my position in Romeo, but I am increasingly frustrated with what's going on, and things are getting critical at Romeo. So,
well, are they going to have to do a reverse split?
I'm less worried about a reverse split than I am about whether or not they're going to be in business a year from now.
Oh, really?
Tom,
can you, what percentage of the market do you think will be out of business in 2 years?
I think if you go through all these small cap, high growth companies, there's going to be an awful lot of companies that go out of business. Because a lot of companies are leveraged to the point they're running out, their cash burn is huge, their cash runway is short, they're already leveraged. So, when you get yourself into that situation, you run out of options. And there's no money left. And the businesses go out of business for one reason. They run out of money. They can't pay the bills anymore. That's it. And there's an awful lot of companies that are on a runaway freight train destined for that. So their only lifeline would be to do, an equity raise. But does a company down 90%? I mean, I'm sure they'd rather do an equity raise and stay in business than go out of business. But that's not a great time to do. Romeo, so that people understand, and I've done a couple videos on Romeo, they're down 98%. That is, I've never seen that before. it's put them in a spot that they otherwise would have never been in. So, you know, I feel like I don't feel great. I'm not bailing now because I do see several different paths to success for them. However, they're backed way further into a corner than I ever thought they were going to be. And it's because they are down 90. Even, you know, when I do my worst case scenarios, I plan out, well, what if stock goes down 80%? Well, what if it goes down 90%? You know what the difference between 90% and 98% is? It's massive, right? 98% is much more than twice as bad as 90%. So, and you just don't see things get there. But they've been pushed there, and so now it's monkeypox coin. I'm not buying that.
Come on, live a little.
EGY, says Michael.
Live a little.
Live a little bit.
Little monkeypox never hurt nobody.
I don't think that's true. I think that it has hurt people. I don't know that much about monkeypox, so I plead ignorance on this matter.
Oh, hang on a second. Hey, buddy. You want me to zip back out there?
Yeah, I accept what I'm talking to you. It don't matter.
Okay, we'll just come through the door in the with that long,
Okay.
you know.
I'll be around up here.
We'll see. Bye.
So these
I'm
guys
getting
are.
my HVAC fixed right now.
Oh, you need to go?
Yeah. It's fun talking to everybody. Sorry, I'm a hater right now.
You're just bringing us down anyway. So.
Yeah. I'm a realist. You can't say let's see. Still got 200 billion to go.
To get to your overall cryptocurrency crash that you're looking for.
Yep. The true winner. See you guys.
All right, George. I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes. Thanks, George, for joining us. Good luck. All right. I don't know how to work this thing, so I don't know how that looks on your screen right now, but I'm sticking around. Yeah, this is an energy company, and I mean their trailing 12 months PE is 5.8. These companies should be at or near their highs, and this one is. So, you know, the question is, are you too late on it? Bitcoin Rules is asking about Canon. I mean, I did a video on Canon. I think those guys are in great shape. And their stock's pretty beaten down. All right, I had tech support fixed, so hopefully the screen looks reasonable. Yeah, I'll go there real quick. You want to talk about PE ratios? Look at Canon's. It's under 2. Those guys are set up to succeed in a big way. They have a monster amount of cash. They have no cash problems whatsoever. So I like Canon a lot. I think that's been beaten down. Yeah, Beam was on fire. Thanks, John. Beam was rolling. It was almost at $20 yesterday, and then, you know, today everything got wiped out. So I'm hoping it picks back up where it left off, and today was just one of those across-the-board bad days. Hey, JJT. Welcome. Oh, thanks, Bitcoin Rules. Yeah, Canon, there's a little bit of a following there, but this stock is, I mean, if you 256 is their 52-week low, $11.19. So they're wildly off their lows. Their PE ratio makes no sense. They've got a good backlog of sales. I mean, it just seems like everything is going right for that company other than the stock price. Yeah, their market cap is extremely low. But this is across the board. I have a list of small cap high growth stocks that I truly have never seen what's happening right now. You know, not so much in the overall market, right? We're in a standard issue bear market right now. It looks like we're about to confirm that we're in a recession. And so, you know, a lot of that is no fun, but it's business as usual. But what's happening to the small cap high growth stocks is not business as usual. I've never seen this happen before. Playboy is almost at a 52-week low. Let's see. Market cap 370,000, but you know, what is their business model now and what is their cash flow? So I would have to dig into this one more. I really haven't looked into these guys. I know they switched to more perfumes and that kind of stuff. But I don't know what kind of business they're generating. So it looks like they got $33 million in cash. But this is saying they got a pretty big cash burn rate. I would have to dig a lot deeper than that. I'm not sure. But they are, you know, they're very... Where did I left? Yeah, I mean, they're right at their 52-week low, pretty much. DMTK. I have a request to look at DMTK. Let's see. I will tell you, this is the one thing, this is the one sector that I absolutely, and this stock might be awesome, but, and they're calling it healthcare diagnostics and research, biopharmaceutical, any of these, this is a molecular diagnostic company. That is just something that I am ignorant to. And to me, if you got to know, if you're in that realm, there's so many stocks and there's so many small cap. Like, this is a nice small cap stock. I will tell you, they got wrecked. This is another example. Take a look at the small cap, you know, bio stocks over the last 12 months. They have been absolutely decimated. Nothing's getting through phase 3. Like, I haven't seen, you know, there's just no good news coming out of there. And like I said, I don't know enough about it. These guys hit their 52-week low today. Their market cap's $154 million, but I don't even know if are they even at revenue stage yet? Yeah, looks like they got. Yeah, it looks like they're a high growth company, but they're burning through money. They're losing $4. They lost $2.71 a share last year, $4 a share this year, $4. These are the companies that right now, you know, if you know this company through and through and you know they can last and have strong conviction, then I would buy it. But this is a company I would stay away from because their cash burn is killer. And right now, cash is just the deal right now. Because you cannot count on your stock going up because these stocks have been in a downward trend for, you know, the Bitcoin stocks hit a high in November, but the small cap high growth stocks hit a high in January and February of 2021. So we're almost a year and a half into severe downward pressure on these stocks, and it has not let up at all. I'm just reading for a minute if I sound like I'm not saying anything. It used to be $86. So again, I don't know, like they could have something in phase 3 testing where, you know, if it passes, you're going to get rich, and if it fails, like they go out of business. That's the hard part with these small cap high growth. I don't know exactly what they do. CEI is the worst company. This is another one I know everybody talks about, but I've done no. No, this is not where I'm going. I've done no due diligence on these guys at all. $223 million. PENA. I mean, yeah, something funky's going on here because they're at their 52-week, they're near their 52-week low. But this is in the independent oil and natural gas company, so I guess I got to do my due diligence. Something must be going seriously wrong for them if they're near their lows. They were almost as much as $5 within the last 52 weeks, which means they're down pushing 90%. So, I mean, oil and gas right now, oil and gas stocks most of them are pushing their all-time highs. Global carbon credits will grow 15x by 2030 and possibly 100x by 2050. I'm real conflicted. I got to do a lot. I got to learn a lot more about these carbon credits because I have seen some things on these, and Kevin O'Leary, who I take with an absolute grain of salt at best, has talked about how a lot of these carbon credits are bogus. So I don't know enough about that. Michael's saying Bitcoin miner has been making new lows every day. Yeah. Every single day, at least one of these guys hits a new 52-week low or all-time low. JJT, are you talking about... let me go back and see which one you're talking about. Let me know which stock you're talking about. Rudolfo, new to the channel. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. What's your outlook on Riot blockchain? Got in at $6.34. So, I mean, in my opinion, you got in at the right time. Wondering if I should cut my losses or hold the pain. So I will tell you, for me, I'm adding to my Riot position. So they're one of the ones that I think have the strongest balance sheets. And so I'm adding to that position, and I'm not, if they go down, I'm going to buy more. Now I will say I'm dollar cost averaging at a slower pace because I just don't know how long all this is going to last. So, you got to decide how you feel about Riot and what your risk tolerance is. If you're gonna sell, then you might as well sell now and get out. But for me, in my opinion, I think they have a strong balance sheet, and I have been adding to that position. And I didn't even start that position until they were already, I think at maybe $10 or $11. So. I've been averaging down since then. So, they're way under that, but I feel like I waited a long time to get in. The average bear market is 11 months. So, I mean, the small cap high growths are already way past that. So I don't know. Do they recover? This is what, typically the market is secular and it rotates from one place to the other. So, I'm kind of in a holding pattern waiting for it to rotate back into a little more, everybody uses the term risk on, risk off. And definitely small cap high growth stocks are risk on. The Bitcoin miners are considered risk on. Bitcoin right now, for some reason that I can't understand, is considered risk on. So those are all getting beat up. But at some point, when the money comes back into these, it's not going to be hard for them to make massive moves. Because again, when you're down 90%, you can triple and still be nowhere near your high, right? You're still probably, significantly off of your highs. Eric's saying, I bought Riot today, nibbled. And that's what I've been doing. I definitely, I'm all about dollar cost averaging, and I've always been clear that I'm a longer term investor. I do spend somewhere around 10 to 15% of some of my portfolios and play with options, buying and selling, but mostly what I do is buy and hold. So, but I am trying to be very patient right now and wait for real opportunities. I do think this week was a good opportunity for several of these stocks to average into. So I did. But now, I will wait. Someone was asking me, what's your DCA philosophy? And, if these things go down 6%, I'm not going to buy in again. I wait until they get to a new level. And I feel like we've hit, a bottom, at least a short-term bottom. Gareth got into HUT at 267. I mean, that seemed like the steal of the century. And, they're down from there. So that just goes to show they can. But that's why it's all about your time horizon. What do you think HUT's going to be 3 years from now? With the selling today, that cash is king unless you buy debt-free companies is what I'm trying to buy. So, yeah, companies that are already highly leveraged, because the problem is when you're down 70, 80, 90%, when your stock is down, then, raising money through equity becomes a lot less feasible. So that's one option taken off the table. So if we're in a recession, your business may be struggling. All that leaves left is debt. And if you're already leveraged, then you can't do that either. I believe we will see Bitcoin miners exceed their all-time highs at some point in the future. Yes, that's what I believe. However, I think most people are going to miss it. Most retail investors have already bailed. So congratulations to anybody who's watching right now, because I will tell you that the vast majority of retail investors have bailed on the Bitcoin mining stocks and on really all the small cap high growth stocks. The retail has left those high and dry. And I feel like retail is typically always just one step behind, following into the things that have already peaked. A lot of people are running to energy right now. Well, you needed to run to energy 6 months ago, right? I wanted Exxon 6 months ago, not today. So to me, it's patience, and I don't think they're going to hit their all-time highs anytime soon. Definitely not this year. I doubt next year, but remember, a lot of these, again, you could pull a 3x and still be nowhere near their highs from November. So there's a lot of upside left to these stocks, even if it takes them several years to get back to their all-time high. Gareth is saying, I really enjoyed the interview with HUT 8. Sounds like they are investing in other profitable businesses. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate Sue coming on. She's a great communicator, and I think they got a strong management team, and I like what they're doing. They're diversifying. Their balance sheet is super strong. So I'm a fan of HUT 8, and I always appreciate when these guys take time to come onto the channel. So that is nice. So JJT, I will look at, I'm not going to do it right now since I don't know what it is, but I will dig into VOXTUR. Let me just make sure I can find it. So for me, that's going to be a pink sheet in the U.S. $346 million market cap. All right, I got this one saved. By next week, I'll have done my due diligence on this and be able to say something. So, Ali, I think it is, CleanSpark. He's in a CleanSpark at $13. And, you know, that's one of those, I think a lot of people are in at 13. A lot of people are in at worse than that. So it's just a game of patience. It's if and when this hits, if Bitcoin, even if it's a year from now, when Bitcoin goes on a run, all you have to do is look back. Take a look back at CleanSpark's chart, and you'll see, like, CleanSpark went up 100% in 2 weeks just 2 months ago. Those are the kind of moves these companies can make once they're beaten down this heavily. So there is upside left. It's just, and again, I don't view it as, if you're dollar cost averaging, I don't view it as catching a falling knife. In my opinion, catching a falling knife is saying, oh, you know what, this thing hit its 52-week low today. I'm all in. Let's go for it. That's just a gamble, right? Because who knows when things hit their low. But if you're just methodically researched a company and you're dollar cost averaging in, to me, that's a sound investment strategy. And yes, things can go down for a long time, as we're experiencing right now. You know, there's a lot of similarities. Michael's talking about the recession from 73 to 75. But the oil situation is a lot different today than it was then. And I do think there's a faster solution out of this. There's a lot more options we have than we had in 1975. We were OPEC dependent. It was a different world back then. So we'll see, you know, if we can make some of the right steps. But if they take some reasonable steps, I don't think we're in for that type of extended oil problem. That's just my personal opinion. Having said that, oil is at $120 a barrel right now, so that's brutal. Bitfarms versus Hut, asks Ryan. I always have a problem with this versus that, because those are two of my favorites, and they're two of my bigger positions. And they're different companies. They have different strategies. So that's why I diversify. I have 4 or 5 big positions, and then, you know, about 3 smaller positions that I have much less confidence in. NNDM has more cash than their market cap. You're 100% right. I have been trying to drive this home to the world. If you want to park your money someplace safe, in my opinion, NNDM is the most undervalued company in the entire market. And I will tell you, I have never seen a company, they have an enterprise value of negative $500 million. I've never seen that in my life, which means they're valuing, effectively, it means they're valuing the company for $500 million less than the cash that they have is. And understand, this is a company whose cash burn rate is about $40 million a year. So for them to be $500 million upside down in market cap, I can't explain it. I do have NNDM. That's a long-term hold for me. I got stock, I got options, and I'll just hold them. I mean, nothing's a guarantee, but, you know, That's the problem. Nothing is a guarantee, but within the realm of reasonable outcomes, I believe that, NNDM is probably going to triple or quadruple or more over a 2 or 3 year period. So, that's my investment thesis on that one. But again, if you don't do your due diligence and know it, you can't take my word for it, because my word is not going to hold up in your mind if it's going in the wrong direction. So, I know I beat a dead horse, but everybody has to create their own conviction, because that is the only way to buy and hold a stock. JJT saying, still buying 4 miners every week. My horizon is longer than 5 years. So it's Black Friday for me every week. Yeah, I mean, these sales, if you look at it that way, and that's how I look at it, I think a lot of the strong Bitcoin miners are on sale. But I will say, again, I don't think all 20 of these stocks are going to the moon 5 years from now. I think there's going to be winners and losers. And so, that's the part to be careful with. If you've picked the winners, you're probably going to be in great shape. And if you go through them, you'll know which ones are higher risk. So if you're willing to take the higher risk, there's higher reward, but you also may lose. Michael Anthony saying, I'd rather buy oil companies than Bitcoin because people need energy for autos. I mean, oil's the ultimate commodity. It is needed, but the thing is, we're in a very weird situation right now. I mean, we could have a whole separate stream on oil. There's an awful lot of oil, and oil has an awful lot of competition that's up and coming in other forms of energy, including renewable energies. So I think that equation is, while yes, it is true, we're going to be on oil for a long, long, long time. It's not going anywhere. But, at $120 a barrel, could it spike up a little higher than that? Yes, but if you look historically, this is very high. And it absolutely could spike up to 140, 150. But at that point, I think the powers that be are going to be forced to take some steps that, even if they don't like it, they're not going to let oil sit there at $150. There's a lot of levers they can still pull to get more oil into the market, in my opinion. So that's just my opinion. And Exxon, a lot of these companies, I go to ExxonMobil because they're the biggest one, but if you looked, ExxonMobil, I think their stock has tripled in the last 18 months. I mean, that's strong performance. But I don't want to buy in after something tripled. It's tripled and, it's at a 5-year high. ExxonMobil used to be the biggest company in the world. So, they're a big company, but they got beat up. There was a year or two there where people thought they were going to go away. And, now they're almost a $400 billion market cap company again, I believe. Yeah, $423 billion. So they're all the way back to where they were. So, they're at $100. So a lot of people made a lot of money on this. I just don't know that I would jump in now, is all I'm saying. Right? This was one of the great investments over the last few years. Just from a return standpoint. ABCL has no debt and 700 to 800 million in cash. Made 54 last quarter. All right, let's take a look at that one, and then ABCL. Oh, see, you guys are putting me in my uncomfort zone. Biologics develops antibody discovery platform. It's full stack artificial intelligence powered antibody. Man, can they throw any more buzzwords in there? discovery platform searches and analyzes the database of natural immune systems to find antibodies that could be developed as drugs. So they got a PE ratio of 13, so they're making money. They're making money. I don't know why. It looks like this year they're projected to make money. Next year they're projected to lose money. So I don't, it's hard. These you got to take with a grain of salt as well. There's 7 analysts, and you don't know what their agendas are. So it's hard to say. But it sounds like they're flush with cash and they make money. So, maybe that's a good one. But again, for me, I'm so out of touch with this part of the market that I couldn't jump into this. But it may be a great investment for all I know. Oh, JJT, I need to get I'm going to start doing those monthly, and I need to do, so this weekend I will do the month of May. And I've been tracking them, so I've been doing it myself, tracking them weekly. So I have all the information. I can go through it on a week-by-week basis, but I think I'm going to post it once a month because not too many people were watching those. So maybe if I do it once a month, it'll be a little more popular, and I can only do so many videos in a day. But I will tell you, it's struggling. It's doing probably as you would imagine. And I will also say that I did dollar cost average this week in the 10K challenge. I added more HUT, more CleanSpark, and more Bitfarms. So that's a little update. But yeah, it's a tough year, right? I have, Romeo's in that list. They're down. There's a lot of stocks on my stock list in the 10K challenge that at the moment are down 70, 80, 90%, and unfortunately in the case of Romeo, 98%. So I will give everybody an update on that, though. I think that's important. I think it's important everybody watch along because I know, I have some portfolios doing okay and I have others that are doing horribly. So this is a very tough market. So that was my reason for doing this, was for everybody to follow along and kind of feel the pain. And hopefully when we're done, feel the victory, because I still feel pretty strongly that thing's going to work out very well. But it's been a brutal, brutal road so far. Oh, yeah, Canon has their... So that's the flip side to Canon. And who brought this up? Ryan, thoughts on Canon? Good buy right now at this price. Does it make you nervous with the audit issues and being Chinese? And I think if I'm remembering right, Canon has been put on the list where their auditors do not qualify. So they need to get new auditors. It's a ridiculous process. They give them like 3 years to do it. I don't know that in my mind, that seems like a lot too long. Back in the day, I was an auditor and I worked at what used to be the big 8 auditing firms. And I think they're down to 4 now or less. So that's kind of my background. So that's in my wheelhouse. I don't do that anymore, and I haven't done it for a long time, but there's no reason they can't go get, if they're legit, they just need to hire a new auditor and go. It's painful. An audit stinks. It's no fun, but they got to do it. And if we find out that they're fake, that's the concern, that their numbers aren't real. They're a fake company. And I can't rule that out. I would feel better if they had an approved auditor. It's not that they didn't get an audit. It's just that the audit is not on the approved list for the SEC. So they're not going to count that audit. So they need to go. If a year from now they haven't solved this problem, then I will be extremely suspicious. But they just got that notification, and they said they're going to address it. So I'm going to give them a little time to address that. But I would like to hear regular updates from them. So that's your risk, I guess, on Canon, and maybe that's why it's trading so far below where it should be. So it looks like as I'm on the 4-hour, let's go to the 15-minute. I got to finish up here, but I just want to take a look at Bitcoin before we leave and enjoy the weekend. So, you know, I have this line at 29,200. I'm going to go back to the 4-hour just for a second. So as of March 29th, which was, you know, only 12 days ago, this line at 29,200 has held as support all the way until today. So we had one 4-hour candle go below that line and exactly test our line at 28.8, which is why I feel so comfortable that we're bouncing off the bottom, because here we did it again. I mean, it was a perfect bounce off of support. And now we have a green candle that's running up to this 29,200. So to me, it's going to be important that we cross back across this line, because we do not want to see this turn into resistance. So it's way too soon to make that call, but that's what I will be looking for over the weekend. We want to get back above 29,200. Ideally, we'd like to get back above 30,000 because we spent a bunch of time there over the last few days. So that's what I'm going to be looking for over the weekend. I will do an update over the weekend if something is happening. I don't like to do repetitive and boring Bitcoin updates if absolutely nothing is happening. So if you see me skip a day, that's the reason why. I just feel like if I can't add any value to it, then I don't want to waste people's time. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, everybody. And again, I appreciate everybody that leaves comments. I read every single comment. And I try to respond to a lot of them. So just know I read your comments. I appreciate them. They're overwhelmingly positive, and of course I get negative comments, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. So thanks for your views, thanks for your comments. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. We're getting near 10,000, so I would really like to get there. And we have a very, very active Discord. So if you're not in the Discord, there's a link below. I recommend joining the Discord. It's extremely active. 95% of it is about Bitcoin miners. So, you know, if that's what you're interested in, which most of you probably are, and many of you I know are already in the Discord. So, everybody have a great weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the time off and go Bitcoin. Thanks for watching.